Hey guys, these are my gaming peripherals that I've been using at the start of 2025. I haven't done an official review yet, but I will provide you my honest opinions and why I chose them as my main gaming peripheral setup. I'm really happy with this budget setup, with each product coming under just $100. So let's get right into it. Let's start off with the IEMs that I've been rocking on my desk for a few weeks now. These are actually going to be the Simgot EW300. Out of the box, they have a shiny reflective finish to them, and the cable is of decent quality with gold and black spiral theme that runs along the rest of the cable. It is a fairly light cable. You forget about them when you put them on. It is a 3-driver IEM. So you're going to be having the dynamic drivers going to be handling the bass and the mids, while the planar and the piezo driver are going to be handling your treble from the lower end all the way to the upper frequencies. The sound signature is fairly mature for the most part. It's a nice, well-rounded, warm, U-shaped tuning, has optimal sub-bass performance, with the treble being on a bit of the warmer side, which is actually a preference of mine. They have swappable tips with the silver stock nozzles playing a sharper treble and more refined mids, and the gold nozzles having a wider soundstage but slightly recessed upper mids and a warmer treble altogether. Personally though, I stuck with the gold tips because they were much better for gaming in my personal opinion. In games like Valorant and Overwatch, it was easy to pinpoint enemies without having to rely on visual cues. It felt like cheating, I'm gonna be completely honest with you, with how easy it was to pick up enemy footsteps and being able to call all that out to your teammates in game. IEMs that I usually stick with for gaming is the Aria 2, and I found the directionality and performance are a lot better on these Simgots. What is more surprising is actually going to be the price. These are actually coming in at only $69 at the time of recording. You won't probably get the same exact gaming experience unless you dish out, some pretty hefty money for things like the Timeless or the Orchestra Lights, which are marginally more expensive. Again, when it comes to listening to music, these are not the top of my list, and I'm not too particularly fond with the music quality from them. But for gaming, for less than $100, this is probably going to be very, very difficult to find something that can match its performance. Moving on to the mouse, I've actually been using the Lamzu Thorn, or more or less the Fanatic Edition. I've been playing with a lot of ergo-shaped mouse for the past 6 months. This one has been on the top of my list for a while now since release. I finally got it, and let me tell you, it did not disappoint. The shape is not as extreme as the Death Adder V3, and it feels like a ambidextrous mouse with a slight hump to it on the left side, as you can see right here. It's perfect for palm users and claw grip types, and it only weighs in at 51 grams with a battery life of 70 hours in 1K polling and 22 hours in 4K. But I gotta admit, the battery life isn't necessarily all that, but the switches actually more than make up for it. They're personally my favorite switches on any mouse so far, and they're very light, spammable with very, very little pre-travel, but it's hardly noticeable because of its light actuation force. Unfortunately, the scroll wheel is quite the opposite though. You'll need a ton of force in order for it to actuate. However, I primarily only use this to ping enemies anyways, so it's not necessarily a top priority for me. The PTFE feet are pretty adequate for the most part, but personally I swapped them out for a much faster dot skate, something I've been using for a long time now, and they work great with this mouse. Overall, the build quality, the coding is all top notch. The 4K performance is actually on par with one of the best gaming mouse in the market right now, so this is S tier for a lot of peripheral enthusiasts. My gaming mouse pad of choice is actually going to be the Wallhack SY001. Believe it or not, this is actually a control pad. It has great dynamic friction and almost slightly slower version of a Artisan Zero in my personal opinion. It's made of some type of synthetic weave material that's not very common in like your Artisans or your Lethal Gaming Gear pads. It has an extremely smooth surface all across the board, and when playing with it for the first time, I was actually very surprised this thing was labeled as a control pad. It's not very common you have a control pad be this fast. The glides were very smooth, and it wasn't until I slowed down my flicks where I got a lot of that control. The micro adjustments felt really good, and flicking was extremely clean compared to other pads in this category. This is not a mud pad, so this is not going to be like your the GSR or the Soku Kai, which is the closest thing I could think of when thinking about control pads. But this more in line falls in between like a Artisan Zero and maybe even a Saturn with some more, I guess, control, in my opinion. The only thing is the Zero does have a bit more coarse texture compared to the wall hack, which I actually found to be, you know, fairly okay for the most part. And after a little bit over a month with it, it's by far one of the best pads I've ever owned in quite a while. And the smoothness of this pad is what truly won me over. I found that the X-ray pads that I've been rocking with work best for me, but again, this is all personal preference. Moving over to the final peripheral of my setup is actually going to be this gaming keyboard that I featured in the channel many times over, the $50 65% Aurelia keyboard by Red Dragon. It essentially provides a quick trigger to a lot of the budget market enthusiasts, and many other brands have actually followed suit. However, I was not particularly fond with the build quality of it. As you can see here, it's an extremely thin keyboard altogether, and I was actually looking for something with a little bit more heft to it and a little bit more premium quality altogether. I was not able to find anything since the USB-C connection, actually, believe it or not, is actually on the side, so there is not a lot of options out there. Luckily, I was able to find that the Keychron K6 was actually going to go and fit fairly well and match the exact same PCB, and having to shave off some of the case, I was able to kind of somewhat fit it in there. Unfortunately, it did not come to fruition. Maybe a future video down the line, I don't know. We'll see. I ended up just modding it a little bit, adding a basic tape mod and also adding foam between the plate and the actual switches themselves. But still, this keyboard is a powerhouse. It does everything you can ask of it out of a Hall effect keyboard, and you can swap out the magnetic switches if you want. However, if they are pretty expensive for the most part, so I actually just opted to sticking with the switches that came with the keyboard for now. But again, maybe in a future video, I'll probably work with a much better case. But in the meantime, this is what I'm working with right now. All right, that is it. That is my peripherals of choice. Everything is below $100, and I believe these are going to be the best gaming peripherals in the market right now for under that price point. There are some great products out there, like you got the HitScan mice and other gaming peripherals, but ultimately I found that these cater to my preferences the best. But that's it for today, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed the video, hit that like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let me know what you guys are using at the start of 2025, what mouse you're rocking, keyboard, what mouse pad. Just let me know down in the comment section below. Huge thanks to Simgot for sending out the EW300s. It was going to be for a review, but I liked them so much I put them in this video. They're just a great IEM to use, and again, I stand by what I say with a lot of the products that I feel are best and are mentioned in this channel. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you, Simgot, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Deuces.